Are we doing this again? Are we really doing this again? Correct me if I'm wrong here. I thought one of the primary goals for a professional sports franchise was to keep your fans inside the arena. Even a quasi-professional league like the WNBA, I thought they wanted to keep fans inside the dump. It is impossible for the WNBA to make money when fans are standing outside the security gates of the facility laughing at the dump divers from the outside. Or, as is the case with the other 99.9% of the population, it is impossible for the WNBA to make money when fans are at home not watching your games. How many times have I told you one of the biggest problems in the WNBA is the oversensitivity of their dump divers? How many times have I told you guys one of the biggest problems in this pretend basketball league? The entitlement of their participants. Tuesday night, both of these problems were on full display at the dump in Minneapolis. Basketball is very unique when compared to other sporting events that you can go and see live. Fans in the Superdome, they can yell at opposing players, they'll never hear it. The front row in the lower bowl of the Superdome, it's hundreds of feet away from the opposing players. It is completely different in basketball. I can remember going to see Dwayne Wade's last game in New Orleans. I was sitting 12, maybe 13 rows up behind Miami's bench. During a break in the game, I asked Dwayne Wade, "Hey dude, where's your husband Gabe?" He turns around and tells me Gabe is taking my son, who's pretending to be my daughter, to their first gender-affirming care appointment. Now, obviously, I'm kidding. I made that up. But in all seriousness, we were being respectful that night since it was his last game. But Dwayne Wade, he was interacting with us during breaks. The point is, there is more interaction between players and fans in basketball than in any other sport. Fans are going to yell at opposing players. They are going to taunt them. Sometimes fans are going to take it too far. All of that is to be expected. But in the WNBA, fans of pretend basketball, they are expected to sit on their hands with a muzzle over their mouth. Players in this league, they have become accustomed to playing in front of silence. They are not used to seeing 3, maybe 4 hecklers sitting on bucket seats in the crowd. With a minuscule increase in attendance this season, dump divers, they are becoming emotionally triggered. They're unable to handle the criticism. They're unable to handle the scrutiny. Just last month, dump security removed a ticket holder because he fell asleep and took a nap during a WNBA game. And Tuesday night, security, they not only removed 1 ticket holder, they removed 3. 3? Really? If you remove 3 people from a WNBA game, that means the arena is completely empty, just the way the dump divers like it. Tuesday night, the Dallas Shitfucks, they were in Minneapolis to compete in a facial hair counting contest against the Minnesota Sphincters. This was a magical experience for the 6,900 fans in attendance who filled the arena to 36% capacity. The result of this facial hair counting contest, it had such major implications on the season. Television networks, they were begging for the rights to broadcast it. So which network won the rights to broadcast this exciting contest? Twitter. How many people were watching? For some reason, the WNBA removes video footage of their events from Twitter as soon as the contest ends. Now, I'm not sure why. You would think they would leave the footage on Twitter to show off their viewership figures, but if I had to guess, the WNBA removes the footage from social media because they don't want to be humiliated by the low numbers. Now, for the 1 or 2 people wondering, the Sphincters, they ended up defeating the Shitfucks by 5 facial hairs. Towards the end of the contest, though, one of the dump divers from Minnesota, they were guarding the lane. They came up with a quick move with the Mach 3 to break the tie and shaved 5 hairs from their opponent. But as is always the case in the WNBA, the result of the game, that is not what is generating headlines in the mainstream media. Once again, the WNBA is generating headlines for being at war with their own fan base. I guess maybe they are copying their subsidizers in the NBA? For years now, NBA players have been at war with their fan base, as if there weren't enough reasons already to not attend WNBA games. The dump divers, they are giving fans one more reason not to bother. With less than a minute to go in the fourth quarter, one of the garbage women from Dallas named Satou Sabally, she was attempting a 3-hair removal. She jumped a few inches off the ground to make the swipe, and as she was coming back down, she landed on the steel-toed boot of another dump diver, which caused her to roll her ankle. Thankfully, the injury was not serious. She didn't break her ankle. It wasn't sprained or anything like that. Fortunately, Satou Sabally was able to inspire others by getting back on her feet and courageously finishing the contest. While she was laying on the dump floor, grimacing in agony and pain, some of the fans in Minnesota, they started to yell at her. According to reports, one fan told Satou Sabally, "I'm glad you're hurt." Is that a nice thing to say? No. All kidding aside, I know I'm heavily critical of the WNBA here on the channel, but I don't want to see these ladies get hurt. But in terms of bad behavior at sporting events, a fan yelling or telling an opposing player that they're glad they're hurt, that's not all that egregious. In my opinion, that is not a reason to kick the fan out of the arena. Years ago, ESPN produced a documentary on Reggie Miller and the New York Knicks. Go listen to what Reggie Miller dealt with from fans in Madison Square Garden. It was brutal. I don't remember security in the Garden kicking fans out of the arena. During the 97-98 NBA Finals, Michael Jordan, he would not allow his kids to attend games in Salt Lake City. He didn't want them exposed to the fan base. He didn't want them to hear fans of the Utah Jazz denigrating their father. Did Michael Jordan have fans removed from the arena? No. He had his kids stay home. Players back then, they knew it's a part of the game. That's not the case in the WNBA, though. No. We must protect the feelings of our trash collectors. Security in Minnesota, they yanked this fan off her bucket seat and immediately removed her from the arena. But the story doesn't end there. Satou Sabally, she ends up going to the free swipe line where she's given 3 free swipes with the Mach 3. She ends up connecting with all 3. As janitorial services made their way to the floor to sweep up the facial hair, Satou Sabally begins taunting the crowd in Minnesota. Now you gotta remember, she just made a scene. She just made a big deal about the fan who was yelling and taunting her. Satou had that fan removed from the arena. Watch what she does as she is leaving the free swipe line. Now this clip's going to be edited in some part so I can make it through the copyright check system, but just watch it for yourself.
There is a fan sitting in the second row, and she is a Lynx fan, and she has been completely inappropriate tonight. And now Agumbawale is engaging. And she is yelling at a player that is hurt on the court, and even Cheryl Reeve is asking the fan to stop. And she's been at it for most of the second half tonight, and I honestly hope they're asking her to leave, because it has not been a good representation of Minnesota Lynx basketball at all.
I think they're going to ask her to leave.
She hit both free throws and then blows a kiss to the crowd. Wow! That was bold. Pointing at fans, one behind the basket, one behind the fan that was just ejected.
Just in case the clip doesn't make it through, Satou Sabally makes her free throws. Then she taunts the crowd by blowing them a kiss. Now my inside sources tell me this gesture could have been misconstrued by the crowd. My sources are telling me that Satou saw her bearded girlfriend in the crowd and she could have been blowing her a kiss. But this kiss from Satou, it drew a natural reaction from the crowd. They began yelling at her, they began taunting her, and what happens? Did the WNBA reprimand their player for taunting the crowd? Did the WNBA reprimand Satou for starting all this? No. They kicked 2 more fans out of the arena. Now here's my problem with this. You can't have it both ways. You can't get in your feelings and have someone kicked out of the arena for taunting you. But KC, this woman said that she was glad I hurt my ankle. That's not very nice. Big fucking deal. You get her thrown out of the arena. Then, you yourself, you turn around seconds later and taunt the fans. You can't have it both ways. This is the entitlement that I'm talking about. WNBA players, they want to talk trash after they've collected it, but as soon as someone responds to them, they want them removed from the arena. After the game, Satou Sabally claimed that fans were taunting her throughout the game and there was no place for that in the culture of the WNBA. Why? Taunting the opposing team? That's a part of the game. I have read through several articles on this morning. Not one time, not once, has the media specified what was said to Satou Sabally. Other than one fan saying that she was glad she was hurt, neither Sabu or the mainstream media have clarified anything else that was said. Which tells me this was just normal fan behavior. These were normal interactions between dump divers and fans, and that Satou Sabally is trying to amplify this so she can play the role of the victim. If the behavior of fans in Minnesota were really this egregious, don't you think we would have seen video footage by now? You mean to tell me not one person in the crowd filmed this egregious behavior? Now, to be fair, I know there were only a few dozen in attendance. I realize most fans of the WNBA are unemployed, but they have government-issued cell phones. You mean to tell me not one of them filmed this supposed bad behavior? Last month, the mainstream media, they were celebrating the so-called growing attendance throughout the WNBA. WNBA attendance is record-breaking! Bucket seat producers are having trouble keeping up with the demand! For some strange reason, those celebrations, they have come to a complete halt. I wonder why. Those record-breaking projections that the media was predicting, those projections, they are not going to happen. The WNBA themselves, they were predicting that the league would average 7,000 in attendance per game. In order to do that, they're going to have to average 8,300 fans a game through the next 3 weeks of the regular season. That ain't going to happen. It's going to be tough to do that when the LA Sparkles are filling their arena to 18% capacity with 3,400 a game. The other day, the Washington Masculines, they were celebrating, they were bragging about selling out something called the Hall of Dump game. Let me show you what a sellout crowd looks like in the WNBA. Check it out for yourself. Now, I'm a bit confused here. I'm struggling to understand how they consider this to be a sellout when there's empty seats in the front rows and 2 empty sections at the top. Not to mention the fact that it looks like they're playing inside of a TV studio. I have seen high school gyms bigger than this arena. This is what they call a sellout in the WNBA. But anyway, give me your thoughts. Once again, WNBA kicking fans out of the arena. They're at war with their own fan base. Now, the league is now claiming that taunting fans have no place in WNBA culture. Doesn't make sense to me. In a league struggling with attendance, I would think you would be encouraging fans to buy tickets. Kicking them out of the arena seems counterproductive to me, but what the hell do I know? I'm not a WNBA dump diver. Let me know what you think. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.